Hello, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. We're getting close, man. We're getting close to 2023. So what a better way to end the Big Thing Sith Council year than by doing a nice Q&A. And you guys sent in a bunch of questions through the YouTube community chat and the my Facebook page. And we're going to be answering all those questions. There's tons of them. I saw a bunch of stuff about Ahsoka, saw a bunch of stuff about the Acolyte, films, questions about Andor, all this stuff. And I'm here by myself. That's a lie. It's a big lie. I wasn't able to get Mike and Steph. Well, I didn't ask them. That's a lie also. They're out of town. But I was able to grab my good friend, Mark Reilly. That's right. Yodi is back. Part of the original council. My good pal. We're going to be here talking about a great many things. So make sure you tune on in Apple Podcasts. If you haven't done that already, what are you doing with your life? I don't even know if I have I tell you what are you doing with your life? I don't even know if I have the graphic. Here I do. Look at that. Subscribe to the podcast. Listen to the big thing. This is all Sith Council. It's everything. You go to Apple Podcasts. You go to Spotify. We're growing, and that's because of you. And I'm seeing a lot of new people on Patreon, man. Thank you so much. Patreon.com/thebigthingshow. So much happening over there. And I'm so glad that you guys are joining us. We do the Q&As. We have the little trivia sessions going on now. We have watch-alongs. I mean, there's so much. I'm going to start the new 5 spots only starting in January, but I'm doing basically a one-on-one with patrons, and you can keep the footage afterwards, and I'll interview you about yourself, your life, everything in general. And then obviously the merch. Sith Council show a little. Top Gun guy.
The Top Gun guy?
Yeah, the Top Gun guy. It's a flirt and flouse, capes and cows, big thing, all of it. We even have one on there that says farts are my brand. Absolutely. So that's everything, everybody. We're so excited here for you to join us, and thank you so much for the wonderful year. I've been really pumped to be with you guys, to be doing everything so far. It's been a lot of fun. So let's get into it. It's Mark Reilly at Sith Council.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
Sith Council, everybody. It's Sith Council, and it's me and this guy. Mark Reilly's back in town.
Hey.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm glad that we're finally, isn't that funny how we always do that on podcasts? It's like we've been talking to each other for the last half an hour.
Yeah.
And then you turn the mics on. It's like, how you doing?
Hey, I know. So good to see you. I haven't seen you forever.
Yeah, we just talked about this. Well, Riley and I had breakfast the other day. How good? Let's not. I don't want to bring up the restaurant, but but it's good.
Good.
It's really good stuff.
Good. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good breakfast burrito.
Really good. Anyway, we sat and we were talking, and we'll get into it because somebody actually asked a question that I think you'll probably answer.
Yeah.
Why you haven't been on more?
Oh.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
In just a little bit. It's because he's a jerk.
I am a
real
jerk.
jerk.
I don't like you much.
No, I know.
I don't like you either.
I don't like you either. So again, like I said, I don't know if there's some stuff that we can talk about up top. But I don't know. I mean, so many great questions. I'm sure we'll get into it. But
Sure.
Just shameless plug. Did you get a chance to see the Diego Luna interview?
I watched like a little bit of it. I need to finish it. That's part of my new.
It was
thing,
awesome. It was.
you know?
It was
I know.
It was a lot of fun.
I got the. I was lucky enough to get the text with the announcement.
First,
The
you got it
first one.
first. You got it first. I posted it.
Yeah, before I was like, oh, Christian, send me a text. Not a fart this time.
Not
it's
a
a
fart
text.
this time, yeah.
And a video. Look at this. And then it switched over to Diego Luna. I went, son of a bitch.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that was a good one.
That is awesome.
It's good. So I mean, it was a really good interview. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
People were very supportive. The audience of watching and leaving some great comments.
That's great.
Well, I'm telling you, it's like 98% positive. A couple turds, and not. I mean,
Always
the
are,
one
but
thing
that's
that people said that I had no issue with, which I agreed with, is that he unfortunately, because it's a good thing, he was really comfortable.
Yeah.
But he was going like this at one point. And like you couldn't even hear him on the mic. And he's like all the way over here. And when we say, hey, Andor, turn around. You know? It's
I know.
Like, and at one point, because Perry shot her interview too, at one point he like does this.
Did you
He
really?
was like looking at I was humbled because I'm
Yeah.
like he's looking at the shelf and he's looking at, and he was really he said afterwards he felt very comfortable in the studio and everything too, and I wasn't about to like Coy on yesterday's show was like talking like this, and so Winston was talking and I said to Coy, I said, I'm not going to say that to Diego Luna. I'm not going to get close to the mic, guy. You know?
It's like, can you?
Yeah, so I just dealt with it.
You know, professional actor here. Can you please act a little closer to the microphone?
No, and I was like, you know what I thought I was going to do, which I didn't. This is me lying to myself. I said, you know what I'll do is I'll adjust the sound in the edit.
Yeah, couldn't do it.
What am I, Thad? He knows how to do all that stuff. I'm like, I'm looking at it going,
Raise the level.
I'm looking in the editing. I'm like, yeah, forget it.
No,
Yeah.
I just in my entire career on this thing, whatever this all is, Hollywood, everything, the technical stuff always gets me. I can't do it.
I've been happy with the fact that I've taught myself a lot.
I know. I'm impressed. I'm watching you do your thing, and I'm like, man, this is why I gave up.
I figured out a lot of how to do. I'm still learning a lot for sure, but anyway, let's get into some of these questions, man.
Yeah.
There's some good ones.
Star Wars, right?
Yeah, we're talking Star Wars today. No DC for today.
No DC.
No. All right, so this is the first one. If Lindelof, this is from Callum 1327, and again, these came from Facebook, my Facebook personal, the page that I have over there, and then the YouTube community. So when we do these in general, always be on the lookout for those.
Okay.
Get your questions in. Callum 1327, if Lindelof does this Star Wars movie, how many of the sequel cast do you think being in it, or will none of them be in it? It's a good question.
It's a great question.
You know, Daisy Ridley went in for a meeting.
I saw that.
But the rumor that I heard, I think Snyder even reported on this, so I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. But Snyder, why didn't I call Snyder the Spider? Jeff the Spider Snyder. Probably too cheesy.
Is that just coming to you now?
Yeah. Because I goofed and said Spider. I guess the Spider, whatever.
But
he can get those scoops. But anyway,
he's been crushing.
He's been crushing it.
Yeah,
because he's got the whole like
he's always had the connections.
Yeah,
always.
But now the gloves are off for him. So anyway, he had said something along the lines that he thought that I guess Daisy Ridley was going for the meeting potentially for the Lindelof movie, which I thought made sense because from the rumors was that portion of that stories and a lot of these stories that they're going to do for films are taking place after the sequel trilogy. Okay. So I said, okay, that makes sense that, you know, maybe I thought before I even saw him, like, well, she's probably in there for that movie. And then I spoke to him and I hope I'm not speaking in turn. He said, he's like, I actually think I was wrong. He's like, I don't, that's not the movie that she's apparently on or gonna do, or the project she's going to do rather. Okay. I still think she might show up in there. I think it helps. I think it helps in that time period. I don't think she needs to be. I think almost what they did with Luke and Leia and Han. That's what they should do with her.
Yeah, I have no idea what we now know it's going to be set after the sequel trilogy, or is that just the rumor?
That's a very. It's like not just one particular website rumor. It's like many, and I think reputable website rumors.
Well, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense to pick up after and see where the galaxy is.
It gives you less expectations because you're essentially working on a clean easel,
Yeah, it's a clean slate, so to speak, right?
It is.
Because you have to go where we are in Mandalorian, we know where the time frame is, right? Because we know the sequel trilogy. Where we are with Andor, we know the time frame, right? Where we are with Acolyte, we know the time frame. Everything is in.
Yeah, we know where it's going to go eventually.
Eventually, we know where it's going to be. So there are parameters in that.
Right.
Sequel trilogy,
Future's
it ended.
Open. Yeah.
What? I don't know. Can Mark Hamill show up? Can Luke Skywalker show up as Force Ghost? Probably, maybe. He could. He could. Yoda could.
It's true.
We've seen him show up. How about Obi-Wan? Never know. Never know.
I think they're going to stay away from those characters, though.
I think they should, too.
Yeah, I think they're going to. But you know who they need to bring back? Is the old lady at the end of episode 9. Who are you? Mm-hmm. What are you doing in the desert by yourself? There's no one around. You don't even have a house.
How long did it take her to get there?
Right.
You know what I mean?
What? Where is she? Why is she just wandering around?
All of a sudden there.
Who are you? Ray Ho.
This isn't the Circle K.
Ray Ho. What do you need my last name for?
I know. I'm the only one here.
What are you, the government? Ray who? Get lost, you old bat.
Ray Palpatine. I mean,
right.
Yeah, Skywalker.
What do you need me for? Oh, to set you up for your last name reveal.
I like a Ray movie. Would a Finn come back?
A Ray movie? I don't think she's getting her own movie. If anything, she'll probably pop up in a. Yeah.
You think so? If Damon Lindelof is doing a Star Wars movie, and Rey's out there and Finn's out there, we have everybody's out there.
I think Lindelof
somewhere.
stays away from it and creates some new stuff. I think he's
I
got.
hope so. That would be great.
I think he has the opportunity.
I love what he did with Watchmen. So
Yeah,
I love what he's doing now.
He's got an opportunity to build out the pre-existing, because it's not set to be a trilogy. It's just set to be a movie. It's set to set new things. And I think it's a smart way to go, because then what they could do is, if there's a popular character inside of it, you can make spin-offs throughout it and do these things. I think that they need to establish whatever it might be and how many years it might be, right? So 2019 was Rise of Skywalker. So realistically, this movie ain't coming out until 2025 at the earliest.
Right? Okay.
So maybe 2026, maybe 2027, right? I say 2026 to be safe.
Yeah.
So that's a cinema. I mean, Daisy Ridley will be, I guess, how old is she now? 27, 20.
So in timeline, though, she's older.
She's older, but she's
wiser.
I had always said that if she was going to come back, you have her come back when she's like in her mid 40s or 40 or something like that too, because maybe she doesn't need to do it. And look, the other thing with her is that maybe she can just get that paycheck right now. That's Star Wars, that's Disney money, and she hasn't been in any big blockbusters lately. She's been working. But she hasn't been in any blockbusters. Her name's been out of it. So why not get that paycheck? Go back to look at Downey. Downey kept going back and trying to do little other projects on the side.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's the question there as far as how many the sequel cast. I think that in the Lindelof movie, maybe Rey pops up, maybe you get a couple cameos, but I don't think at all they're not going to be focused.
Am I making up this rumor? But I heard that it could that possibly it was Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron that would have Poe Dameron.
I mean, that's also possible. It's the same thing.
So the way I'm thinking about it then is that
movie ain't happening. That movie ain't happening.
She said it was still in development.
She said it was in development.
Well, yeah.
If it's not
right now, I mean, it's DC is not. We don't know yet. James Gunn's got it. So, but I still think there's hope that Patty Jenkins can do this movie because it's so special to her.
So, yeah, but I don't think I think that's the whole thing, though. I think it's similar to what the problem. I have more sympathy. I mean, sympathy with her losing both projects, but I have more sympathy with her losing the project on Lucasfilm because DC has a plan, whether you like their plan or not.
Yeah,
James Gunn and Safran clearly have a plan of what they're trying something. So when that Rogue Squadron movie was put together, it was Kathleen Kennedy go, "Oh, you're a popular director, and that sounds like a cool story. We don't have any movies. Yeah, let's do that. Wonder Woman's popular, and so are you. So you got a movie, and people like you, so you got a movie with no plan. I think that's changing. I think that they're
at Lucasfilm.
Yes, I think that finally, whether I'm being optimistic or not, I think that the rumors of Lindelof getting into the room with Filoni, and then the idea that a lot of these movies are going to take place in the time period after the sequel trilogy, that they're sitting down and they're having an open conversation. Now, whether or not that means that this Patty Jenkins movie can find its way in and they want to fit it into this overall story.
That's kind of my point.
But
right?
the problem is we've seen that in the past, she doesn't like that. She doesn't like that. She doesn't in Thor. She doesn't like being part of this whole. She likes to tell her stories. She likes to do what she's going to do, and then scoot on. So I don't think that movie happens. I think that they have a clear-cut plan in general of what they're trying to do right now, and whether or not I like Patty Jenkins a lot. I'd like to see that movie. Sounded interesting to me.
Yeah, I Top Gun and Star Wars.
What's so funny? People would say, "Isn't Top Gun Maverick essentially Star Wars?"
It's a Star Wars. It has a lot of Star Wars.
Of course it does. Yeah,
and that's what I love.
Me too. All right, here we go. There's the next. So that was the first question. All right, here's the second
question.
It was a great question. Braggalicious. So ask Reilly what his favorite Star Wars character TV show is and why is it Andor?
Well, it is.
Is it Andor?
It's real close.
It's great.
It's one of the best damn Star Wars to Star Wars.
When
I'm blown. I had to watch every episode again.
Yeah. Did you watch it twice?
Oh, twice.
Yeah.
Every time without fail because it's so rich, it's so dense. There's so much going on. There's so much intrigue. There's so many layers. I missed half of this on the first watch.
Yeah.
I got to watch it again. I want to sit down and watch the whole series again, just to take it in.
So yeah,
It could be Andor, but I still go Mandalorian.
Mando's still mine, but there's no argument. There's no argument. I mean, at least with me anyway, that Andor is the best written material since Empire. And I said that to Diego Luna to open. I said to him, you know, people, and he goes, okay, interview's over. He's like, great. He goes, that's it. That's all we need to say. And it was amazing.
That's the gold standard right there.
It was it.
He's
and
like, well,
that's it. He goes, okay, that's what else do we need to say? The interview's over.
Yes.
But it is, and it's so layered and it's so detailed, and listening to him talk about how detailed it is and what it is, the way Tony Gilroy approaches it. And I had even said to him, I said, look, Tony Gilroy doesn't try to pretend that he was this massive Star Wars fan. He's kind of said the opposite, right? Not that he didn't like it, but he just wasn't a big fan. But he wanted to tell. He thought there was interesting stories to be told.
Yeah.
But I said what he does is very interesting. Now, when you go into Stellan Skarsgård's shop and you see all those artifacts in the back,
yeah,
Tony Gilroy probably doesn't know what half of those are, or 80% of them. But he found people who did.
Yeah.
And that is why the show works.
Yeah. Grounding it in the Star Wars we know and love.
Yep.
Having that Easter egg for some of the fans out there that love that kind of stuff, me included. I love seeing some of the stuff in his gallery and be like, ooh, isn't that Force Unleashed? Like, wasn't there something there?
Right.
So seeing all these things just kind of grounds you in that world and gives you a little bit of something. But I like the idea that Tony Gilroy is a fan of just character.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, that's what is so special.
Character.
That's what's it's just so detailed and so layered, and I was so invested in it. The build from start and those little, you know, as I've been using the analogy the entire season was that the first he would do these 3-episode arcs for each one, right? And he would do the first part of that arc was a jab. The second one was a hook, and then he finished you off with the uppercut. And
it's a great way to put it.
A few different times, right? And like there were a couple ones that were there was like one standalone episode that was just like a haymaker, and then there was the arcs again. But it was just really, really good. I would still put Mandalorian, though. The reason why is that what I love about Andor is that it really dives deep into a pocket of Star Wars that I like, right? The politics and all that too.
Yeah, that's what I love. Mon Mothma
he's great, but Mandalorian covers all of it. That's why I still think for me, and it's got that space opera,
space fantasy.
Yeah, it's got that thing that I really and it feels the most like the original trilogy than anything else. So
I agree. Yeah,
mixed with Clone Wars, mixed with Rebels, mixed with all this stuff, this little special magic. So like Mandalorian's still to me the gold standard, but Andor is the gold standard in writing.
Yeah. And I think you can get there with Mandalorian, and no matter what you do, there's episodes, whether it's Bryce Dallas Howard doing it or Rick Famuyiwa who's doing it, that they delve deep into character, and you're like,
100%.
oh yeah, it layered as much as Andor, maybe not, just however you take it. But the Mandalorian, the one thing I'll say about why I will probably choose Mandalorian for a long time, unless there's a show that comes out that like knocks it out of the, for me at least. That reveal of Luke Skywalker at the end of season 2
moment.
Was one of my favorite Star Wars moments in all of, and I was sitting at home. I wasn't in a theater where I like to be with my Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm at home with my fiance, and he shows up, and I am a kid again. I literally was screaming, running around the house.
Yeah, see, I was in my kitchen. I said, they did it. These crazy sons of bitches did it. And it was what was funny about that is still, I mean, for what it was, and the only hindsight, you know, but I just wish that they would have gotten the same guy that they had for the Boba Fett Luke.
Yeah.
Like they would have gotten him to do, because it's just, even when you watch it now, it's still a little off.
Yeah.
Just
a smidge.
It's de-aging as opposed to deep fake.
Yeah.
And like they deep faked him in Boba Fett. Like that's one of my favorite episodes of Star Wars ever. It's my least favorite live action show.
Same.
But it's one of my favorite episodes of Star Wars television is that episode.
Yeah. When you get to Mandalorian and then you get back to Grogu and then you see Luke and the choice.
It's so good.
And it's him standing there with Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
And just
that question.
Like
and
full chills.
Well,
I'm
I think that scene at the end of Boba Fett or Mandalorian 2.5, whatever. I think that scene when he says, "Am I going to see you again?" Mm-hmm. I think that plays into this whole big mega event that they're setting up with Thrawn and everything.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. I've been saying from the minute I heard Thrawn from her lips, I was like, "That's the Thanos." that's the Star Wars' Thanos.
I really hope they go that route.
I hope so too.
It feels like they are. It feels like they are. I've been hoping, but like I've always kind of had doubt because I didn't want to get myself too excited about it because that's not what Kathleen Kennedy does. But Filoni and Favreau seem to be going down that route and teasing things. So I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's see. Let's go to the next one. You guys asked some really great questions thus far.
Love it.
No Hutch 33. When the heck are we getting the movie theater Star Wars? The time leading up to the first trailer of the new trilogy, I yearn for this. Okay, so I think it goes back to what we were just talking about, right? Now, what we didn't mention before when we were talking about the movies that were rumored, you had the Patty Jenkins movie that was rumored. That doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon anyway.
Anytime soon, right.
The Taika Waititi movie, which they said at one point was coming out the end of next year.
That I'm wondering if it's happening anymore.
Get rid of it. Get rid of that movie.
After Love and Thunder?
It's not just that. I love Taika Waititi, and I always preface this when I get into my Taika Waititi rants about Star Wars. His stuff about Mandalorian, his directing that he's done with Mandalorian, phenomenal. There's two things with Taika Waititi. When Taika Waititi is directing other people's scripts inside of this world, that's where he shines. Yeah. Now, he has his own material that he writes and directs that he's fantastic in, right? But when he's writing his own stuff, he's a very funny guy, and he gets overly jokey, hence Thor, Love, and Thunder. Now, the other thing, he is stretched too thin.
Yeah.
He's working on so many different things right now. You do not pop out of the gate with a Taika Waititi movie coming off of a movie that not everybody loves, and the guy's overly busy.
Yeah.
You lead with that Lindelof movie. That's my opinion.
No, I agree with that. I think it's so weird, and Ragnarok is probably one of my favorite MCU movies.
He didn't write that, though.
He didn't write that, no. Did he?
No. He didn't write the script. He collaborated clearly with jokes and stuff. But
yeah, but Love and Thunder went the other way, for me, at least. I thought it's not my favorite.
No, it's a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah.
The whole movie's a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah, and I haven't liked the direction they've been going with, what do you call the effects that they're...
The volume?
The volume. Haven't really enjoyed it that much
Well, you like
with
that Mandalorian?
the MCU.
Oh, with the MCU.
Mandalorian, the way they use it,
right? But they didn't use it.
Something.
They're abusing it
different.
sometimes. They've used it a little bit in Obi-Wan too.
Yeah, I can sense that, and I can see that. But it's like Love and Thunder really was different for me with the effects and the volume. I was like, okay, and I see it with Quantum Mania with the Ant-Man. I can kind of see it where I'm like, there's a little bit difference. I want them to pull back a bit. Less is more for me, but I don't know. To go out of the gate with a Taika Waititi Star Wars movie, if he's doing Love and Thunder, that I think would be bad for Star Wars. I think it wouldn't land as well. I would love to see, and this is where I agree with you, Damon Lindelof movie maybe. Let's say Patty Jenkins after that. Rey is in Damon Lindelof. Poe is in Patty Jenkins. This is just a what if. And then Taika Waititi comes out with like a quirky, weird whatever, and it centers on Grogu. I don't know. That could maybe work.
I think they need to do, like we were just talking about with this Thrawn potential mega event. This is what they need to do with movies. They need to put together. They have a connected enough universe where you don't have to make it like trilogies. You don't have to do this whole thing, but have like things kind of be connected. You can connect certain things because people want a bit of a plan. Because the problem is what they've done terribly over the last 10 years is they, like we mentioned before, oh, who's really popular right now? That person, great. They're going to get a movie. Let's bring them in for a movie. What do you want? You want to do a movie? A what period? Oh, that sounds interesting. Okay, then put that in development. We'll do it. Oh, it's not working out because we have no plan of what we're doing. That movie's canceled. As opposed to, all right, here are all the list of directors we want to go to. Dave, Damon, Deborah, Bryce, let's get in a room. Let's get all these, Rick, let's get into a power room and let's start thinking about what stories do we want to tell? Well, we were thinking a great time period would be this, and we're going to go that way, we're going to go that way, and we want to eventually get there and go there that way, this way. Great, we have our plan, we have our treatment, we have all this. All right, we'll get that list of directors, bring them in here, let's talk to them, let's see if they like what we're working with, if they have ideas that they can contribute. Very similar to what the MCU did, right, inside their thing. And I really hope that that's what they're going to do, because their plan for film over the last 10 years, not TV, film has been abysmal.
Yeah, they really
they have dropped the ball.
Yeah, and you would think after Rogue One, we were on to something. For me, at least, with the movies, because we had the sequels and then Rogue One.
Gilroy, man.
I know.
Gilroy. They should be paying Gilroy and his kids and everybody else to the day that until the world blows up.
Which, where's Twitter?
All right.
Yeah. So having a kind of writer's room that you're kind of describing there for Lucasfilm and Star Wars would be amazing to see. Getting back to back to the question, the thing I want more than anything is a Star Wars movie in the theater. So hopefully they're on the right track now and they're getting something going. I just don't know when that's going to be.
Right.
That's the problem.
I would say, if I'm a betting man, and I am, I would say you should make a bet for 2025. But if you put your money on 2026, you have a better shot of landing. Because 2025, Iger's probably going to go, let's go. Let's move. Let's go. Because you're in because you can push and you can push a movie into production. Right? We had this whole big conversation on Capes and Cows about, because Winston thought that we might see the Superman movie in summer of 2024. I said, dude, you'd have to have that script done and all that stuff too. Done. And then that means
they're prepping to film 2023.
Prepping to film, just the CGI, like everything you'd have to do. Now, I think for that movie, a stretch is December 2024. Possible if they want to get it out before, Gunn and Safran, because they only have a couple of deals. Now, the same goes for Star Wars. It's like he comes in. Look, JJ had to do it in 2 years or 2 or 3, whatever. And they put a couple movies in to play in 2 years. And you got to make sure that it's not rushed.
Yeah, not with what we're doing. And what would I want? And I would love to see, and I would ask you this, and everybody out there. We get Mando season 3 in February, right? 2023. Then we have Ahsoka coming later that year. So that's the same time frame. Thrawn possibly showing up in Ahsoka, crew. Right? Skeleton Crew?
The same time period.
Same time period. Okay. Could we see this Thanos style like thing with Thrawn in it end up in a movie? That we get all these series running together. They show up together. Ahsoka shows up in Book of Boba Fett. Luke Skywalker's in there. Then Mando shows up, and then we get more Mando stuff happening. Could we see that?
Could we or should we?
Should we?
Should we? Yes.
Yeah.
Could we? No.
Yeah. You don't think they're going there?
No.
See, that's what I think. I think they're leaving money on the table.
I think they're leaving so much money on the table because I think that in the room they're probably like, well, then we're relying on people to have watched the TV show in order to understand the movie.
Well,
yeah, but it's like that's kind of the point, right? That's kind of the point. The point is we have all these things. We have this series, and we want to make sure that people will go back and watch and say, look. And I've been saying this for years. That the way that I think that they should end their shows, if they're as popular, like it's harder to do something for a lot of different reasons, like Andor, right? Andor, we already have the season finale shot into a movie, and it's called Rogue One.
Yeah, right.
So the series finale, rather. Yeah. So that kind of plays, and it also kind of plays into my argument, although they did it backwards. But if you did this, and I still think this could be something that they should try. But Mandalorian is one of the most popular shows in general. I mean, it's in. I just saw an interview with like Jonah Hill when he was talking about like Leonardo DiCaprio made him watch it, and he had this whole thing, and like it's a massive show.
Yeah.
And if the last season, if they announced that the series finale was gonna be, and I know I've said this guys a million times over, but just to reiterate it, like the last series is 2025. That's the last episode, and it's gonna air in December 6th. The last episode. However, the series finale will come out in theaters on December 13th. And in order to see the series finale, you have to go to the theater. And if you don't, then it'll be on Disney Plus in February or March of 2026.
Yeah. Love that.
And it's like, what you know you're filming it, so you're structuring out the whole entire series, except this year's budget's going to be significantly bigger because this series finale is going to be a $150 million movie. Yeah. So it's like that's what, or 200 million, however they would do it now, but it's like that's a way to do it. And what you're saying, if you can build that up to where you get Thrawn and you do this big huge thing in the theater, it's an event. But yeah, a lot to talk about. Yeah. All right, next one. Great questions here, guys. So this is from Zach Bierman. if you could change one thing about the upcoming or past Star Wars TV shows, what would it be? Would love to hear what two Star Wars gurus think. Love the show. This is easy for me. And it goes back to what Reilly was just talking about. I would absolutely, and I know it's tougher because of what was going on with the pandemic and COVID and all that stuff too. I would have done a lot less shooting in the volume for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I would have changed that tone of that show significantly with Obi-Wan. I would have been put that now. I've been very clear in this. I don't think every show should be like Andor, but that show should have been. I think Reva and the Inquisitors should have been in a different show. I think that Reva in general, this has nothing to do with Moses Ingram. This has nothing to do with any actor that's put in that role. The problem is the story was built to be Obi-Wan in discovering his friend and this pain, and they put this poor actress in here and to say like, oh, now you're going to carry it. And everybody's like, well, it doesn't matter who it was. They were going to go, no. No, it's like you're in this big fight with Vader and Obi-Wan, and then they cut to her chasing Beru and Owen. You're like, wrap it up. It's like, get back to the fight, and that's not fair to her.
Yeah.
And I think that it was a bad move, and some of it looked very cartoony and very animated.
Yeah, I'm a agreement.
Yeah, there's some cool moments, but even and I hate and like Obi-Wan comes off looking like a dummy in the end of that series.
Really? You think so?
I'll put it into your head right now, and I know you well enough.
Okay.
So here he is fighting. First of all, he's picking up rocks and throwing them at Vader. Where was that?
Yeah,
where was that 4 years from now? You know, whatever it was when he's or whatever 10 when he's.
Oh, when he's big. Okay.
But I'll give it a pass.
Sure.
So he's throwing rocks. Okay. So then he's got Vader dead to rights.
Leaves him?
Dead to rights. Instead of a TIE fighter, this is an easy fix. He's about to strike him down finally and take it out and save millions and billions of lives. A TIE fighter comes in, bam, 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 pushes him across, can't get to him. Vader survives again. Then you're going, oh, he just almost had him, as opposed to, nah, I'm going to let you live again. You just let billions of people die again. That's the second time you've done that. The first time, I'll give it to you. You thought you burned him to a crisp, and you walked away. Okay, and then you lied to him, lied to his son, and said, hey, you know, that's your father wanted me to have this when he's burning and screaming his face off. But then just to leave him there, standing there like, nah, I'm not going to kill you.
Because Obi-Wan didn't do what he was supposed to, right?
Twice, but I'm saying he's a dope. He's a dope.
That's again, I see it so different. Really? I see it on the other side. He looks at his friend. He sees his friend. He knows he's gone. He knows he's just Darth.
So kill his ass.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. But then he's a hypocrite when he tells, when I can't kill my father. Well, and then the Emperor has certainly won. It's like you're in the same, you hypocrite.
Yeah, no. He's doing the same thing. He's telling Luke, yeah, you got to go kill your father, knowing full well he's not going to kill his father, knowing full well that might bring him back.
If he's in that moment and he has him dead to rights, and a bunch of ships come in and save Vader, and he just had him.
It was more powerful for me for Obi-Wan walking away, because and Hayden Christensen.
He was great. They were both great. The performances were fine. It's just some of the choices.
Everything for me. I had some problems with the Inquisitor storyline.
Music.
And the music, I really had a problem with the music. The music, I felt really missed the mark, and I'm the music guy.
Yeah, and the lame excuses.
I don't know why we couldn't have some of the absolutely necessary Force theme in some of the things that he did. But
yeah, Kevin Kiner did it brilliantly. I don't know why they didn't. Some of the interviews, like clearly you don't watch your other shows when you're saying, well, it wouldn't have happened at this point yet. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like he doesn't get that Vader theme until later when he's really angry. It's like, what are you talking about?
It's fine. But, you know, it's like everybody's going to have a creative choice. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchens, especially with this.
Flip it for real.
Even with this, you know, with this ending of the show, but just to get back to it, I just adored the moment of him looking into Vader's eyes and being like, oh, my friend is truly gone. And that did something to him. That made him walk away. And I think that he also had a plan. I don't think he knew it at the time. He's walking away because he knows Luke's out there. He knows Leia's out there. This is their father. I think he feels in the Force that there is a bigger picture and that he has to walk away.
Sure. I guess I'm missing.
Because if he doesn't walk away,
way, Sith way. I mean, I get it.
Vader, what's Luke going to do? Like, what's Luke's purpose? Luke then becomes...
He can live normally.
Yeah, he probably has a better life, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it.
So again, there's a lot of different things he could have done to make everybody's lives a lot easier. And I guess you know who doesn't agree with you? Alderaan. They don't agree with you.
Well, that Alderaan was going to happen
not necessarily,
with Vader or
not
without.
necessarily, because look, butterfly effect.
Where Obi-Wan killed him. All right, put the Death Star on hold for a little bit. I need to find a new apprentice. I need to find a new apprentice.
He'll get a new apprentice and still be blowing up planets.
But I mean, look, but still, there's a lot of what ifs.
I mean, you could do what ifs. I mean, I always say, go to that what if comic where Luke Skywalker dies.
Don't bring it up. Someone actually asked about what if, and I chose it specifically for you because I remember you telling me about it. This is no concept. Says, since the world between worlds was introduced in Rebels, do you think Star Wars will ever dive deeper into time travel multiverse stories? So my answer to this question about 2 weeks ago would have been no. Mm-hmm. I've changed my tune because of some rumors. I think it was Making Star Wars that had reported it. There's some rumors and stuff that basically going into what we just talked about with this big cross event, right? But one of those things is in Ahsoka is that apparently, the rumors are that, and again, I'm giving people a chance here. It's not like a major spoiler, it's just a little kind of a rumor. So if you don't want to hear it, I have time codes you can skip across. Good, now you know. The rumor is that she is, contemplating and flashing back into that time period where she went into World Between Worlds, and it's been kind of messing with her. So they play with that. Now I don't know how true that is or not, but I think that it could be interesting, and it ties into Filoni essentially continuing his Rebels storyline, which he wants to do. And if it wasn't Filoni show running and directing, I'd say no chance.
Right.
But it's so funny because, like, when you say it's just so weird, and myself included, it's so weird how this works with Star Wars. When you start saying time travel for Star Wars, like, come on, they'll just start right. But it's the only IP that makes sense to time travel because of the space and time and the way space and time works out there. It's like because of light speed and because of these things and the way that they can do and the way that time works differently on different planets, and like the science of it makes more sense there. But for some reason, right away you go, I don't need time travel there. But we're okay when the Avengers do it, and we're okay this, even though it's going to take thousands upon millions upon never of years to eventually get a black hole to travel in time and Earth.
Right.
But in Star Wars, somewhere on some planet with the way that time works, like Interstellar. Remember in Interstellar when he goes and how time works so differently on those planets? They never explore that type of stuff, but they could if they wanted to, and it would make sense. But I do think they'll go this route, and I do think it's an interesting way that if they did it right, that they could play in a different timeline, and eventually go somewhere where Luke, is a different Luke. They could do it. They won't, but they could.
Yeah, they could. Looking at it on paper, time travel, it's like, no, I don't want time travel with my space wizards.
Right.
It's like, it could work. It's and if Filoni has a plan in the world between worlds, and that's going to happen, great. I'll
worked in Rebels. Did you not like in Rebels?
I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
I've never liked it.
Okay.
It just is something that never worked for me because with that, there is a chance for rewriting things that we already know, and there's do-overs, and I don't like it. I just want to stay away from time travel in general, and it's not time travel like, Marty, you got to come back with me. Right. It's the world between worlds, and I get it. I don't like it. I don't want to see it happen. But again, on paper, that's on paper. For me, if Filoni can pull it up, it's execution. It always is with 100%.
Yeah, it's just but at first hearing it, it's not something it wouldn't be your first choice.
It wouldn't be my first choice.
But you could come back to it and go, hey, look, it worked.
Yeah.
I'm on the other side of it. I think that I'd like to see that happen. I mean, and this isn't a debate about the new movies or anything too. If it would be amazing if they went into a different route where they're like, okay, well, look, you guys think you know what happens in the future here, but it doesn't. And in this, what we're building in our TV verse, it's a different timeline, and it's almost like the what's it called in DC? We talked about it at great length. The not other worlds. What's
Yeah,
you know
I
what
know
I'm talking
you
about.
mean.
So
I don't get
either way, I talked about it a million times over with Coy and Winston yesterday. But doing something like that, and then maybe Ray comes in, and when Ray has a different purpose, and Ray wouldn't maybe even be in the damn things. I don't know, but either way, setting it up in a way where you're like, okay, this is the stories that we wanted to tell on our timeline. It'll never happen because people like JJ and Ryan Johnson would be offended and these things, and they wouldn't want to do it. But like I would prefer that. I think that I don't blame Ryan Johnson. I don't blame JJ for the movies, the new trilogy. I blame Lucasfilm for the way that it was handled, because we just said it was just a matter of it was terrible planning. Because I've talked about this on Force Awakens. Like when I watch Force Awakens now, it's like I still really enjoy it. But I know where it goes, and it's not that it goes into, oh, here comes the Last Jedi. Not that. It's just that, oh, this goes into a movie that they had no idea what the hell they were doing. They didn't know where they were going to go for the next one, and then the next one after that, they have no idea what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, it's more cohesive for me with Force Awakens than The Last Jedi, and then after Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, it just
I think
it all for me a little
Ryan Johnson
coming back around, watching these movies as many times as I have now over the years. Rise of Skywalker it just kind of lands.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay,
it's like a greasy cheeseburger at the airport.
Yeah,
that's the way I look. I mean, I know we're in totally different pages here, but I would. It's much easier for me to watch that movie than it is Last Jedi. Yeah, because
I can.
Last Jedi is a much better made film. Mm-hmm. It's a much directing wise, writing, but it's just the Rise of Skywalker to me, even though there's some really stupid stuff going on in there, it's just more enjoyable. It's more fun.
It's all Star Wars.
Yes,
into one.
It's
every Star Wars.
It's super abused Star Wars. Really, is what it is. Just like it's that line. The poor Dominic Monaghan. You know, like what is he? It's a Sith dark magic thing. What?
It's become a meme now. Yeah. It's just like somehow Palpatine has returned.
Yeah.
And
it's bad. All right. Let's move on. So next one here. Should Ahsoka start where Rebels left off? I think so, because the way that it looks like should Ahsoka start where it starts off. Sorry. Oop, why did I turn that off? What happened now? I'm sorry. So should Ahsoka start off where Rebels? I think the answer is yes, because Mandalorian takes place, season 2 takes place, from what the rumors are, that scene with Ahsoka where she finds out where Thrawn is, takes place right before the end of Rebels.
Okay.
Which would make sense, because then she finds out, she asks that when she says, where's Thrawn? Where's your boss? Where's Thrawn? So she has the information. So when she finds Sabine, she goes, I know where Thrawn is. And he's in these unknown regions or whatever the hell he is.
Right.
And then she goes and recruits Sabine. And that would make sense. Have you seen any of the footage?
No.
For Ahsoka?
No.
They showed it at Celebration, it's so brief. It's so brief, and it's like it's got Sabine looking at the wall with the art of all of the crew, the Ghost crew.
Oh yeah.
And then they show a couple of things, and they show Hera from behind.
Okay.
Like kind of walking in. So yeah, it looks like there's going to be it's going to be a new season of Rebels, and I think it takes place. I think that he's got to do it in a way though that connects more so to Mandalorian than it does at Rebels. It will reward Rebels fans.
Yeah.
In a way that you're like, oh, I know what that is. I know what that is. I know what that is. Great. But it can't lose you if you don't know. Like Mike Kalinowski's never watched Rebels. Okay. So you can't lose him, because then you're going to lose ratings.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next one here. Oh, we did that one already. All right. And here we Why does it keep going backwards like that? What the hell's going on? I don't understand. Oh, sorry, guys. Let's go. Do you wish... Okay. So Lord of the Bricks 1. Do you wish that the sequel trilogy is not canon, same as I do? It just ruins everything before, and now they're limited with what stories they can tell because of it. Well, this is definitely going to be a difference of opinion here, Reilly and I, too, right? As I just said, I think that if I had it my way and someone said you have the keys to the castle, you can basically do what this guy's doing and have that those 3 movies were just kind of a standalone in a different universe and they don't connect to everything that I knew growing up, I would do that. But I know there'd be a lot of people like yourself who'd be like, no, don't do that. I love that. I love the other side of it. But no, I agree with this guy. I think that they put themselves in a hole because of bad planning, bad timing, completely. I think it was handled terribly. So I think that the way they're doing television is the way they should be doing film. And I think that if they had approached film the way they've been approaching television, we would have much better films.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with that. I mean, I love my sequel trilogy. I really do. Aside from Rise of Skywalker, which I feel kind of
indifferent,
a little indifferent. Yeah, I would say I'm indifferent. There's so many parts that I love. When I first saw it in the theater, I was crying.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, it was the greatest movie ever. But when it lands, when it comes and it settles, you feel differently. I wouldn't change anything though. I can't. It's there. It's my Star Wars. Like it, love it, hate it. It's there. I cannot look at Luke and seeing that. I mean, the journey that Luke Skywalker takes for me in The Last Jedi, again, we totally disagree on this. It's poetry to me.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
I adore it.
There's much people that are on my camp of things that think that, he was handled terribly, which I do, but people are like, oh, everyone feels that way. It's not true. Everybody doesn't feel that way. There are a lot of people who love. I mean, that movie has a very high rating on it. People really like the journey. What's funny was when I go back and think about it, I think I'm okay with him inside of that movie if he redeems himself at the end and doesn't die. I think if he disappears and says, "See you around, kid," and then basically they pick him up in that Falcon and he's her mentor and teaches her to be the greatest Jedi and he craps out in 9.
Yeah.
I think that I'm accepting that way more of him going, all right, what the hell was I doing? Kick back.
I think a lot of people would, and I think even I would have been, of course, down with it. More Luke Skywalker, more mentor, more parallels to Obi-Wan and Luke, and parallels of even Anakin and Obi-Wan. I mean, there's so much you can look at with that. And reading that Duel of the Fates script that came out, I mean, that's where he went. Luke, see you around, kid.
And came back as a Force Ghost, but that's what
Force
I liked about Trevorrow.
Haunting Kylo Ren.
That's what I loved about Trevorrow's script. He was the only one. He was the only one out of Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams. He was the only one that actually looked at the stuff that came before him and goes, "Okay, well, you guys set that up for me.
I'll take the.
I'm going to do that, and I'm going to pay homage to what you guys did. And I'm going to continue your story because you set up a story as opposed to what Johnson is like. Nah, I don't like that. I'm going to do this. And then JJ going, nah, I don't like what you did. I'm going to do this. And it's like,
see, I think Rian Johnson picked up where JJ left off.
No chance, dude. He asked him to change stuff up on the island because he was doing certain things that like JJ had set up. JJ didn't set up Luke to be this weird recluse on the thing. That was all Johnson. It was not, and it's not Johnson's fault. I blame Lucasfilm for this. Where there's no plan. It's like, have an outline, and then when he goes, hey, I'm going to make Luke this recluse. Well, that's not what JJ set up. He's not doing that. But they go, oh, okay, go ahead, make him a recluse.
Well, JJ knows how. It's the mystery box that bugs me.
Yeah.
So he goes, Luke's on an island. See you guys.
Right.
And he goes and he does something else, and that's why I think Rian Johnson went, well, why? Which led to this big thing with The Last Jedi. Oh, Luke was trying to kill his uncle or his nephew. No. He cut himself off from the Force. Okay. All these questions, everybody's going, Luke wouldn't do that. Luke wouldn't do that. Luke wouldn't do that.
Mark Hamill said that though, too.
Even Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think Mark Hamill's wrong?
No, I ask why.
Yeah.
I go, okay, I can't change it. I can't sit there and go, I don't like this movie.
Right.
Change it. I'm gonna leave. No, I engage with the story presented to me.
You got what you found the joy in what you were getting.
I found the joy, and when I walked out of that theater,
I'm an old Scrooge. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, I walked out of that theater of The Last Jedi, and I went, I am profoundly affected, and I don't know what I'm feeling right now. Really, I went home. I couldn't sleep. I sat. You know why? Because my original New Hope poster was framed in our bedroom at the time, staring at me while I was laying in bed, and I'm just staring at Luke as he's holding on to Leia in the poster, swinging across the chasm. I'm like, that guy this is incredible.
Yes, I'm so surprised.
His journey.
Felt that way, yeah.
His journey is incredible. I have 2 framed prints now, one from Last Jedi and one from Empire Strikes Back. And it's The Empire Strikes Back is Luke hanging upside Bespin. And Last Jedi is Luke on crate, force projection, facing all of the AT-ATs. I'm like, Luke at his lowest moment, Luke at his highest moment.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate
Yeah.
your
I know there are people out there. I know there are people out there that agree with me.
Oh, no. All right.
Uh-oh, I've been canceled on Twitter.
Yes. Let's go to the next one here. All right. All right. So Anakin Crespin, 857. What are you looking forward to most about Bad Batch? Well, I'll tell you, the Emperor is probably the one that I'm looking forward to most. And here, and this is not a slight on Bad Batch. It's just not the show that I get excited about. Because I thought the first season was good. When they announced second season, I said, okay, I've had all 12 episodes sitting in my inbox for a week and a half. I haven't even coped with it yet. And I can't even imagine. Andor, I locked the doors. I said, don't bother me. I started watching it like right away. Like, if there was another season of Rebels, if there was another season of Tales of the Jedi, I would do that like
Tales
immediately.
of the Jedi, I loved so much.
Bad Batch, I'm like, I'll get to it.
Yeah, I haven't even watched the first season. To be honest with you,
it's fine.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's like the same structure every week.
Yeah, I take that back. I saw probably 2 or 3 episodes of the first season of Bad Batch. It didn't get me. Yeah. Same. I don't know why. I love it.
Yeah.
The animation's great. The story's great. The character's great. It's Star Wars.
It just seems like the same thing. They go in. Rhea Perlman gives them a here's your new job this week. You got to do this. You got to go rescue this person and do that. And it's like every week it's the same thing. Maybe the season's different. I mean, it looks like Rex is getting a little more involved. It looks like Palpatine's getting more involved.
Yeah.
So if those things happen and it's a little bit more involvement from more than just the job of the week.
Right.
Then it just was repetitive, and I don't know. Like there's a lot of people love it. People love that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just I'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll see.
I know I will.
All right, next one here. Daniel McNinety7. Do you think that Ahsoka may suffer a little bit when it comes to viewership and interest from the casual audience, given the fact she is so closely tied to Rebels, and that show didn't have a massive audience itself and was heavily geared towards kids and aired on Disney XD? Or do you think the popularity of the character from both Clone Wars and Mandalorian will be enough to gain her enough interest? I think there's a lot of things inside of that is true and not true at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So
Star Wars.
It actually did have a pretty massive audience on both Disney XD, and then once it transferred over to Disney Plus, it did even better, especially after Ahsoka showed up on Mando. So Rosario Dawson is also a pretty good name for television. We had this whole conversation. You and I have talked about this at length, where the movie star doesn't sell tickets, right?
Yeah.
But you know what the movie star sells? Streaming series. Harrison Ford, 1922, Stallone, Tulsa King. Now Rosario Dawson's not the name that those guys are yet, but Rosario Dawson is still. Oh, that's Rosario Dawson. I already own it. Oh, this is interesting. And you know what else? Lightsabers. And that's
all I was.
We haven't seen a lightsaber in a little bit, So Mandalorian, you get Luke kind of showing up, but this is like the first kind of real Jedi series.
We're following a Jedi now.
Yeah, and people, Obi-Wan. Yeah, sure, but that's like these are different kind of tales now, kind of going into it with Ahsoka. So I think that this show is going to do very well. I think that it also does. It's a spinoff from The Mandalorian, as you mentioned. So I think this is going to have way more. It's so funny when I see these comments, people going, well, Andor bombed. No, it did not. It's you forget this is not a movie. Movies, they have their opening weekends, and if they don't do good in their second weekend, the big drop off, and they don't continue to move on, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, there's a little bit more tangibility where you can like look at the numbers and figure it out.
And with movies, if something's it was a really good movie, I'll have to watch it when it's on TV, and I'll see, and then they watch it. Oh, the ratings for that movie, they didn't do very good on out in the theater, but it did great on like HBO Max or whatever too. Well, what do you think these series are? They're evergreen series that sit on Disney Plus. And with the critical acclaim that Andor has gotten, the numbers have been going up steadily. They keep going up, and people don't understand that. Oh, it didn't do very well up top. It didn't bomb. It didn't have the numbers of Obi-Wan. It didn't have the numbers.
Well, maybe it's because there wasn't a lot of discourse. I feel like with Andor, it was a little bit different. It was just like there wasn't. It was a little bit different. It was just like, there wasn't. It was just like there wasn't a lot of discourse. I feel like with Andor, it was a little bit different. It was just like there wasn't. 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 It was just like not a lot of ways to poke holes in this thing because it's so well done.
Except it's boring. That's what people would say. It's boring.
You can go outside.
I say slow. When people say it's slow, I don't. I say I understand that. It's harder for me to get into. Is a little slow.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement. This is boring. Well, then you're not. Then you're watching.
That's fine.
I don't know what you're watching.
Yeah, it's just how you take your consume your product, I suppose.
Yeah, but slow and boring are two different things. It's like that. How can you find that show boring? It's just like if you to me it's an ADD culture.
Yeah,
it's like this thing where it's like if you're paying attention to that dialogue and you really pay attention to what is happening inside of it and the overall from start to finish. You want to call an episode boring, fine. You want to call the whole series boring with everything that goes on with the interweaving? Again, slow, I'll give you slow. You want to say it's I don't find the whole show, but I mean, I think that's more of a fair criticism. It didn't pop for me. It didn't move for me. I like my Star Wars a little faster. I like little things. I get it. Okay, fine. Then that's not your thing. But I don't understand how you call that show boring.
No, it's not boring. No. I mean, you would have missed the fact that Andy Serkis was revealed to be Snoke.
Exactly.
I mean, that was really funny when he showed up and some of the hot takes.
Everybody mentioned that it was possible, right? Let's get to a few more here. Okay, so that was a good one. Let's go to Phoenix JG20. When will we see a trailer for The Acolyte?
Well, we got some photos out there.
Photos, leaked.
Yeah.
It finally, I mean, I've had such it's my number one most anticipated show.
Mine too.
Hands down.
My
They're
God.
filming on location, by the way, and they're not doing the volume.
Good.
So that's
good. And that's why Andor worked too a lot. Because I know there's some volume
100%.
there, but they did a lot of on
They
location.
didn't do volume at all on that show.
Is that right? Okay. That's what I thought. I didn't seem
do
it.
it at all.
It didn't seem it.
So Acolyte is easily my number one most anticipated show now. Nothing against Ahsoka. I want to see Ahsoka very much. But from everything, it is apparently the whole point of how the Sith infiltrated. It is the...
This has got to be Plagueis, right?
Well, that's the other question that comes in.
Palpatine.
Well, it can't be. It's 100 years before.
Okay,
So the only way that someone asked this, and I don't know if we're gonna get to it because we've been we got to go in a little bit, but someone asked another question is, do we think we'll see Plagueis in this series?
Yeah.
The only way that we do is if they stick with what George Lucas wanted him to be, and that's the species of Mune.
Yeah.
Then yes, if they make him human, which would not surprise me. Then no, because he wouldn't be able to be old enough because of 100 years.
Right, that's true.
But if he's Mune,
I would love. Yeah, I hope they do that.
Me too.
I really do.
He should be the Acolyte.
Yeah.
It turns out that he's the Acolyte.
Yeah.
At the very end of it, it's like I think Daphne Keane. If I was to guess, I think Daphne Keane is going to be. It looks like she's like a Jedi apprentice, or whatever, but she is, I think, Sith, and I think she is playing the Jedi because they can't discover them because Maul says the last we can reveal ourselves, and if anybody does discover them, they're dead.
Yeah.
So I think
they got to stick to the shadows.
So I think they stick to the shadows, and then by the time they get to it, by the end of the series, unless they're going to go season 2. You put Plagueis as the Acolyte.
Yeah. I so hope they do that.
Me too. It'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah.
Well, apparently, Leslie Headland, who's the showrunner and director or producer, and she's like really into all the lore and canon and all that stuff.
She was a prequel. She loved prequels.
She did, but I mean, apparently she's all like read up on Revan and Bane and all that stuff. And if that's the case, I mean. This show could be just absolutely spectacular. I'm pumped for it. All right, we got a couple more. Both Riley and I got to split in a second here, so let's do a few more. Let's go with. Oh, but the question is we didn't even answer the guy's question. When do we think we'll see a trailer for the Acolyte?
I was going to say probably next year. Next year, like
they start filming. Yeah,
they've already started filming.
Yes, Celebration is April.
Celebration. I think is a good.
Yeah.
What is that? April. Yeah, so I think that's probably maybe when you could see it.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I think
because you're going to get Mandalorian. Mandalorian's going to come out.
Yep.
In March 1st.
Okay.
So you're going to get and if we get an Acolyte trailer, we might not get released to the public. yet.
I know.
Because they're going to push Ahsoka, which is going to be, that time. So I think that you'll probably get an Acolyte trailer with Riley's right, within the year, because it's probably going to air in early 2024.
Yeah. Got it. Oh, no. Isn't it coming out next year?
I don't think so. I think that next year you're going to have...
We have Ahsoka. We have...
Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew.
And Mandalorian.
I'm excited for Skeleton Crew.
I am too, now, considering where it all lands up. And Steph, myself, and Mike ran into John Watts at our hotel.
Oh, wow.
After the presentation, and we talked to him about the show.
Nice.
And he was like, because what I said to him, I was like, I really liked what you said at that panel, that even though there's kids in it, there's going to be a kind of serious tone. He's like, yeah, it's like those, he's like those serious episodes of the Clone Wars series or like Stranger Things. He's like, that's kind of where we're going with this.
Yeah, that's,
and I said, you speak in my language. Plus, after watching The Old Man, did you watch The Old Man?
What's The Old Man?
Riley, you would love The Old Man on Hulu. Are you kidding me? You haven't seen it? John Watts directs the first 3 of them. It's Jeff Bridges.
Oh, okay.
He got nominated for it.
Okay. Yes, I have heard.
He's like an old assassin. He's
yeah.
Dude,
It's like
it's 7 episodes, so it ends abruptly because during the filming, they found out that that's when Bridges got sick, they just cut it. But thank God it's gotten better since, and they're going to do season 2. But John Watts directs like the first 2 or 3.
Okay,
watch that. As great as his Spider-Man films are,
this one, huh?
The first 2 episodes of The Old Man are maybe John Watts' best work.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's go last question.
Okay.
Last question here. Here we go, everybody. This is from Ace Hole. I love that. 788. Hey, Ace Hole. 788. Do you think Star Wars films have been getting worse because of studio interference and micromanagement, or is it more of our modern society becoming, flaky? I'm 32 and personally love the films, some better than others, but I've never been out there to hate them. Well, I think you're going off of what Reilly said there too, right? It's like you just enjoy what you enjoy, and there'll always be new stuff that's kind of coming out. Yeah. But no, I don't. I think micromanagement and studio interference definitely can hurt. Like, here's the difference, and this is like television. Look at Willow, which studio interference clearly from the writers has been very, very prominent, and then look at Andor, which there has not been a lot of studio interference. Gilroy said, "Get out of my way." Yeah. I'm going to do one more. This is one for you. Okay. Maurice Bruins 8593. As the Tales of the Jedi was fantastic, do you think they'll make a Tales of the Sith in the near future? Could tie well into the Acolyte.
You've answered it for me. That's tied into the Acolyte. That would be amazing.
It would, but do you think that's my fear though? With like, I would love to see a Bane series, a Darth or a Palpatine mini series. Disney, and this is not a Lucasfilm as much as like this, I've been throwing shade at them on how they develop stuff sometimes. I think that's a Disney thing. I think Disney would never want to have a lead like Breaking Bad series because it's Disney, right? It's like it's one thing to have, bad. I mean, they couldn't even keep Reva bad. They had to make her good. Right. And it's like Andor is the closest thing. Andor, like Deidre is awesome. She ain't turning good. She's rotten. And her and Cyril together, even more rotten. It's a weird, creepy relationship. Yeah, and it's like,
I love it so much.
Yeah, and like that type of stuff. But they're never gonna. But Andor, even though he does some shady stuff to survive, he's a good guy. Yeah, they have never led with a bad guy series, and I don't know if they'll be able to do. I mean, maybe because it's animation. I would love a Tales of the Sith. I would love it.
I mean, I look at that episode with Yaddle.
God, that was such a great episode,
right? And I think that's pretty dark.
It is, but it wasn't.
It toed the line. It was right there.
Right, but
so I think they could do. But
the palate cleanser argument would be, but then the next episode is Ahsoka right afterwards, right? Yeah. I want to see go deep the whole thing. Again, adapt those damn Darth Bane novels. Yeah. That's so what I want to see Lucasfilm do. I'm just going to say it to keep pushing it out there into the world.
I love those books.
But they're not just that book. They've got so many books.
Plagueis too.
They've got so many books, and like I'd never understood where they have these great writers, whether it's Zahn or Claudia Gray.
Right.
If all Claudia Gray, who you are.
Oh yeah, Lost Stars. Yeah.
Yeah. So between her and Alexander Freed did Battlefront, they have all of these books that are inside of the canon, and outside of the canon, and they could absolutely do what they did with Harry Potter and just turn them into shows. Turn them into movies. Turn them into these
love
things. And it's canon, so you would know what would happen. No, because you can also add scenes and things throughout the thing. And guess what? People knew what was going to happen at the Red Wedding that read the books.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So anyway, lots to talk about. Riley, I'm glad you joined us here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
You got to come back. There was another question. This is the question that people asked. How come no more Reilly Cantina? And I'll let you answer that.
Oh, yes. Well, so during the pandemic and all the stuff that went on, I pivoted in my career, everybody. And I am a producer at a company that I absolutely adore, and I'm getting more creative. I'm doing a lot more writing, and unfortunately, it just doesn't lend well for running a channel.
Right.
So I basically decided that for me and what I want to do with my life and my career, I'm on track now. This is what I really, and me as a producer and a writer have always been, and less of a YouTube kind of channel person. So that's why I had to make a choice. But I'm still out there though. I Twitch. I'm on Twitch a lot, and my Patreon is still going, where we hang out all the time, and I do like Riley's Cantina with my Patreon members. So
there you go. So go check out Reilly on his Patreon.
Yeah, come join me there. We have a lot of fun. We hang out every week. We still have game nights and trivia and all that.
Stuff. Well, good.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, it's a pleasure having you on the show. And
I love coming back here, and I have time to do it when so I can come back anytime.
Yeah, you should do it again for sure. And then now that we've got the couch, now we're gonna get a better table. Once we get a better table, we'll be able to put 4 people on, so you can join me, Steph, and Mike.
I would love that. Yeah.
So
all
right,
office
guys,
is right down the street.
It's not very far. Thank you guys for joining us once again, and I hope you had a happy holiday. I hope you have a great new year. January, right around the corner. And 2023, man, let's have a great one. Let's have a great year in general. I think Star Wars is going to have a great year in 2023. I think you guys keep your heads up, smile, be around your loved ones, be safe on New Year's. And once again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do it. We're almost there. Almost at 70,000, so help us out. And once again, we mentioned Patreon, patreon.com/thebigthing show. Make sure you go over there. Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Merch, you like merch? Merchandising. Make sure you get that. And the Top Gun guy.
The Top Gun guy?
Selling off the shelf. But so Sith Council. Those are our top leads. Sith Council shows some class, and the Top Gun guy.
The Top Gun guy?
Yeah, all those are top 3 sellers right now. So for myself and Mark Reilly, thank you guys so much for joining us here on the show. It's Sith Council. We'll see you on the flip side. And thank you once again to Wicked Art for doing this wonderful opening and closing for Sith Council.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.